Absolutely. The problem in the state of Florida really is that we have had lax oversight, and the insurance companies have been mismanaged to an extent. The insurance companies say, well, we're getting sued for claims and things of that nature. Homeowners are saying, listen, my house got wiped off the map. I just want you to pay me for my claim so I can rebuild. I've got Hurricane Michael victims 4 years post-storm still living in trailers in front of their home waiting to settle their claim. So one of the biggest problems that we have in the state of Florida is that insurance companies are not made to fully and timely pay their claims. And that's the barrier to rebuilding. It also can lead to a foreclosure crisis, right? So you have folks that just throw up their hands and say, we're just going to leave the property. It's not worth fighting about, et cetera. And so we're in a really difficult time here in the state of Florida. We have blue tarps still in the panhandle. We're now going to have that swath through the middle of the state.
What do you say, though, regarding the insurance industry's arguments blaming, like you mentioned, Florida's tort laws, which help drive up costs, right, because it encourages more lawsuits against insurers than in other states. But also there have been a lot of fraudulent claims as well where insurers have been forced to settle in addition, correct?
Yeah, so that's a more intricate debate, and I'd be happy to get into some of the statistics with that. First of all, one thing to know about your insurance policy is that it's a contract. This isn't tort. This isn't personal injury. Someone saying, hey, listen, I got hit by a car. It really is a contract where on the happening of a certain event, like a hurricane, your insurance company is supposed to answer the call. And the fraudulent claims, we agree as the trial lawyers that you need to stamp that out. And we are willing to work with the insurance companies to get that out. That's not good for anybody.
So
it's
what?
Not good for homeowners.
Right. I mean, all around. I mean, there's so many factors that need to be addressed, right, in terms of regulation and making sure that these insurance companies are actually giving adequate coverage when people are paying up. But what about in terms of, I mean, if I'm a Floridian who's just been through a horrendous storm, you have insurance, you think, okay, well, at least my insurance will cover it. But I mean, what can they expect in terms of what kind of coverage they're going to get and their premiums going up? Is that guaranteed?
So the premiums are going up regardless, even if you didn't have a storm event at your own personal home. Yes, your premiums are going up, and what is covered again has diminished. In the past several years, the insurance regulator for the state of Florida has had the ability to reduce roof coverage. There are sublimits on water damage and so on and so forth. And so people are buying this product because they have to, right? And it's covering very little. And then when they do have a claim in their time of most need, we have a problem in the state of Florida with insurance companies not paying their claims.
They don't come to me saying, let's litigate. No, it's after months and months and months of frustration that they finally have to turn to an attorney to stand up against the wall of an insurance who refuses to pay quickly and fairly. Now, I'm somewhat cynical because my experience is just with the bad actors. But I see a lot of them every day. I talk to several people every day who have had horrific experiences with their insurer. You're going to hear from the Allballs, who are one of our clients, and the frustration they went through and the underpayment they had to face and overcome. Clients that I represent, $20,000 or $30,000, $40,000 in loss of their asset, most of them the largest asset, their home, is traumatic. The people I know, for them to save $50,000 after they pay taxes is terribly difficult. The problem here is not the people, not the policyholders, not the people who bought houses in Florida. We shouldn't punish them. During the last crisis, 2008, we didn't come out and punish the people who use banking. We regulated the banking industry. We didn't say, you bad people who bought houses and took out mortgages. And so I'm here on their behalf. And certainly, and I think you're going to see amendment at some point in time. I'm sorry that it's out of sequence. But certainly the strategy of insurance companies using multiple adjusters to stonewall and make it difficult for ordinary people to get a claim paid is just wrong. That should be considered. And in all fairness, we represent attorneys that find their policy so difficult to navigate that they hire us to represent them in their property claims. So with that said, I hope you'll take in consideration those who live in Florida, who have bought houses, who have experienced real damage to real property, and they just want to fix their house. This amendment is, wow. I have two sons, one that served in...
ask you to wrap it up here, please.
Yeah. I have two sons, one that served in Afghanistan, one that served in Iraq. I asked them what they'd like to do as a treat. They said they'd like to go hog hunting from a helicopter with a machine gun. I thought that was crazy. I said, that's kind of excessive, don't you think? I think this bill is kind of excessive. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
One thing you've said is lawmakers need to stand with homeowners as they begin this process. What's your advice to homeowners, though? Lawmakers need to do their part clearly, and it's not been working in last storms. But what do people at home who, as we see on this screen, have lost completely everything need to do in these first steps?
So the first thing to realize is that your damage is probably implicated by two different policies. You have a homeowner's policy that covers your wind, and you have a flood policy, if you do, that covers your flood claim. If you don't have a flood policy, you can apply to FEMA for assistance. So basically, you need to put your carriers on notice, start making a list of the things that you've lost, and look for temporary housing. This is going to be a long rebuilding process. It really is. Once you have received your insurance proceeds, we saw this in Michael, it takes years sometimes to rebuild. And when I say legislatures should stand with homeowners, they need to make insurance companies pay their claims quickly so these communities can get rebuilt. If we can't rebuild Fort Myers because the insurance industry hasn't paid their claims, what kind of loss is that to the state of Florida and the people of that community?
He's talking about shouldering the burden, right? It can't just be on private groups. It can't be on certain insurance companies. FEMA plays a role. Is the federal government shouldering enough of the burden after hurricanes like we've seen in years past, and specifically with Ian now?
And the answer to that, I would say, is no. Folks are really left to their own devices. It's sad, but if you're relying on the government to come in your hour of need here for a longer term solution, meaning where are you going to live until your home is rebuilt, which might take 2 years or more, they're not going to offer that type of assistance for you. This is why we have insurance. This is why we have a private insurance market. And Floridians pay dearly for that. And so it's really time, again, for this governor, the insurance commissioner to stand up and say, listen, pay your claims fully and timely. We don't want to be in a situation where we're flooded with complaints about people not getting their claims paid.
Well, it's an ominous journey that they have ahead. And Amy, I agree. It is frustrating in people's greatest time of need that they have to jump through so many hoops to get the aid that they so deserve and that they've been paying for because they had insurance. Come back and talk to us, because this is going to continue to be an issue. And I'd like to see the pressure be put on so many different groups to make changes that we don't have to be talking about this after the next storm.
I would love to come back, and I have a million things to say on this topic.
All right. Thanks, Amy. We'll talk to you soon. All right, coming up, how much... Tell
I'm
me,
sorry.
Amy, I want to understand this one-way attorney fee statute that he's referring to. What is that?
Yeah, so it's not really a one-way attorney fee statute. What the law says is, listen, if you have to sue your insurance company to get the benefits that you were rightfully entitled to under the policy to begin with, and you win that case, the insurance company has to pay the cost of getting the benefit of the bargain under the contract. This is a contract. There's no difference between this and any other contract that has an attorney fee provision in it. And so it's really meant to help homeowners, right? How could a homeowner fight, a State Farm, for example, in 5 years of litigation and experts and so forth, if they didn't have attorneys to represent them and have the insurance company pay the cost of being wrong? Let's remember that. They're wrong here. They lose the case. That's how they have to pay attorney's fees.
So what's the fix here? I mean, the governor is saying he's going to call a special session to address this, to try to get people the help that they need after Ian. You're talking about a storm 4 years ago that they're still not getting the help. Where's the fix? Who needs to intervene? And how soon are we going to see something happen?
So what we need is some more accountability from the insurance industry. It's really high time that this administration look to the industry and say, what are you doing to get people timely and fully paid? If they're not timely and fully paid, we run into a situation where people can't rebuild their homes. They're living in RVs. That couple, by the way, has 8 children living in their RV. They can't rebuild, and then we get into a mortgage foreclosure crisis, and that could lead to, of course, a real estate problem as well. So the fix here is that we had 6 insurance companies go into receivership in the last year. Do you know how many of those have had a forensic accounting done where we actually figured out why they went into receivership?
Tell us.
0. None of those. And the 6 that went into receivership before that, ending in 2017, all involved self-dealing and mismanagement on the part of the insurance industry.
Well, and Amy, you bring up these people, they can't pay to rebuild their homes. How are they paying attorney fees?
Right. They can't pay attorney's fees. That's the whole point. And so the insurance company, if they lose and they drag the folks through years of litigation, they ultimately have to pay the piper for that. We already have a climate in the state of Florida where carriers don't have to fully and timely pay their claims, or if they do, there's not a huge penalty for that. Then we get into, all right, go ahead and sue us. Once we sue them and they are proven to be wrong, shouldn't these homeowners be made whole? I mean, that's what it's really about. Build until they get their insurance claim paid. I'm still dealing, I mean, we've just started dealing with Ian. People haven't even come to attorneys yet. They're a year out from the storm, still waiting on the first payment.
So
It's egregious.
well, that is egregious. Can you take us behind the curtain a bit? How has the insurance industry been handling these claims?
So what we've seen in the last 4 to 5 years, a market effort on the part of the legislature to give the insurance industry more and more leeway to handle claims in the manner that they feel fit. The most recent legislation pushed through takes away a lot of the bad faith damages, takes away any penalty essentially for filing suit. Citizens is going to a no litigation situation. And instead of encouraging good behavior on the part of the carriers, this has emboldened